The Zylaxian High Observer Nix, for 27 stared at the holographic display with all four of their optical organs, unable to process what they were witnessing. The supposedly primitive Earth vessels were executing maneuvers that should have been impossible given their technological level. More disturbing still, they were doing so in a clear response pattern to the presence of cloaked Zylaxian observation ships. Impossible, Nix, for 27 whispered, their crystalline exoskeleton vibrating with concern. The human vessels were using what appeared to be modified weather radar systems to track the quantum distortions created by Zylaxian cloaking technology. It was crude, inefficient, and by all known laws of physics, should not have worked. Yet there it was. In the 3,000 cycles since the Galactic Concordat began its systematic observation of pre-FTL species, nothing like this had ever occurred. The humans weren't supposed to detect them. They weren't supposed to be capable of it. Their technology was centuries behind the minimum threshold for such detection capabilities. Admiral Rhianna Harrison of the United Earth Defense Force stood on the bridge of the UES Tenacity, watching the same scene from the opposite perspective. Her weathered face bore the subtle smile of someone who had just confirmed a long-held suspicion. "Well, ladies and gentlemen," she addressed her bridge crew, "it seems our visitors don't appreciate being noticed. Track those gravitational anomalies. I want to know every move they make." The bridge crew worked with practiced efficiency, their fingers dancing across holographic interfaces that had been reverse-engineered from recovered alien tech decades ago. Not that their visitors knew that. The crash at Roswell hadn't been their ship, but it had contained enough salvageable observation equipment to give humanity its first real glimpse of what was possible. Admiral, Lieutenant Commander James Rodriguez called out from his station, "The anomalies are shifting formation. They appear to be adopting a defensive posture." Harrison nodded. "As expected. They're realizing their stealth technology isn't as foolproof as they thought. Lieutenant Park, begin Phase 2. Across Earth's orbit, dozens of seemingly civilian satellites suddenly activated dormant systems, creating a web of detection equipment that had been quietly assembled over the past 20 years. It wasn't elegant, humanity had cobbled it together from theoretical physics and educated guesswork, but it worked. In the Zylaxian observation vessel, alarms began blaring. Nix, for 27 watched in horror as their sensors detected a planet-wide network activating, creating a detection grid that shouldn't have been possible with human technology. "Emergency protocol initiated," the ship's AI announced. "Unknown energy pattern detected. Scanning for potential threats." Nix, for 27 knew this would cause panic in the Concordat. Humans weren't just detecting them, they were actively developing countermeasures. Worse, they were doing it in ways that defied conventional technological progression. Back on the Tenacity, Admiral Harrison received confirmation that all detection networks were operational. "Send the message," she ordered. A tight beam transmission was directed at the largest gravitational anomaly. The message was simple, broadcast in over 1,000 Earth languages and mathematical sequences: "We see you. We've always seen you. Perhaps it's time we talked." In the Concordat's Grand Assembly Chamber, the emergency session erupted into chaos as the report from Earth arrived. High Chancellor Vex 981 called for order, their crystalline form pulsing with stress harmonics. "The humans have not only detected our presence," they announced, "but they have done so using methods we cannot fully comprehend. Their technological development follows no known pattern. They adapt, improvise, and overcome obstacles in ways that defy our understanding of scientific progress." A representative from the Mechanoid Collective raised an appendage. "Surely we can simply restrict their development. Impose order on their chaos." The High Chancellor's response was grim. "Our analysts suggest that any attempt to restrict human development would likely accelerate it. They appear to respond to obstacles by becoming more determined to overcome them. More concerning still, they have achieved in decades what took other species centuries, and they did so by breaking every rule of proper technological advancement." In Earth orbit, Admiral Harrison watched as the alien vessels maintained their position. She knew humanity's rapid progress had been driven by necessity and imagination. While other species might wait to fully understand a technology before using it, humans had always been willing to learn through trial and error, through failure and adaptation. "They're probably having quite the discussion about us right now," she mused aloud. Lieutenant Commander Rodriguez, maintain tracking. Let's see how our visitors handle the realization that their perfect observation mission isn't so perfect after all. The implications were clear to both sides. Humanity had not only detected advanced alien technology but had found ways to counter it using their own unique approach to scientific advancement. The age of silent observation was over. The question now was, what would the Concordat do about a species that refused to follow the established rules of technological progression? As the Earth continued its eternal dance around the sun, two civilizations stood at a crossroads. One bound by order and methodical progress, the other driven by innovation and determination. The next few hours would determine whether this first true contact would lead to understanding or conflict. The Concordat's response came 3 days later, manifesting as a series of precise gravitational distortions that Earth scientists quickly recognized as a communication attempt. Admiral Harrison had expected this. The aliens wouldn't be able to resist responding to a civilization that had so thoroughly upended their assumptions. The message they received was both a warning and an ultimatum: your development must be contained. Submit to guidance or face isolation. In her office aboard the Orbital Command Station Phoenix, Harrison shared this information with the United Earth Council via holographic conference. The faces of humanity's leaders showed varying degrees of concern and determination. "They're afraid," Director Raj Patel of the Science Division observed, his hologram flickering slightly. "They see our technological progression as dangerous because it doesn't follow their rules." More importantly, General Sofia Valdez interjected, her South American accent crisp and clear, "They've revealed their hand. They believe they can isolate us." Harrison nodded, her silver hair catching the artificial light. "Which means they don't understand how humanity operates under pressure." "Director Patel, what's the status of Project Prometheus?" Patel's hologram shifted as he consulted his data. "The quantum entanglement drive is technically impossible according to conventional physics. Which means it's about 60% complete." The room filled with knowing chuckles. Humanity's greatest advantage had always been its willingness to ignore impossible when necessary. The quantum entanglement drive was a prime example, a propulsion system that theoretically couldn't work, built by engineers who hadn't been told that fact. "The Concordat's ultimatum expires in 72 hours, Harrison continued. "I suggest we use that time to demonstrate why attempting to isolate humanity would be a severe miscalculation." The next 3 days saw a flurry of activity across Earth's military and scientific installations. The Concordat observers watched with growing concern as humans began deploying what appeared to be a chaotic mix of technologies, some seemingly primitive, others approaching Concordat level, and some operating on principles their sensors couldn't even categorize. In the Mechanoid Collective's analysis chamber, Logic Unit 7219 processed the data with increasing concern. "The humans are implementing countermeasures," it reported to the Concordat Council, "but their methods are illogical. They are combining technologies that should be incompatible. They are creating systems that violate our understanding of technological progression." High Chancellor Vex 981's crystalline form pulsed with stress patterns. "Explain." "They have developed quantum communication systems using modified microwave ovens. They are powering advanced shield generators with what appears to be primitive nuclear fission. They are." The logic unit paused, its processors struggling to accept the data. "They are using their planet's magnetic field as a weapon, but the equations governing their method cannot be correct. Yet it functions." As the deadline approached, humanity's response to the ultimatum took shape. Admiral Harrison stood on the bridge of the Tenacity, watching as Earth's combined fleets moved into position. Each ship carried technology that represented humanity's unique approach to progress, a mix of reverse-engineered alien tech, human innovation, and what some would call impossible science. Send our response, Harrison ordered. The message that reached the Concordat was simple: we appreciate your offer of guidance. However, humanity has always found its own path. We welcome peaceful contact, but we will not be contained. You may observe our progress, or you may attempt to stop it. Choose wisely. Accompanying the message was a demonstration. Across Earth's orbit, hundreds of satellites suddenly activated, creating a web of interconnected energy fields. The Concordat's observation ships found their advanced sensors blocked by what appeared to be modified Earth weather satellites broadcasting on frequencies that shouldn't have been possible to generate with human technology. In the Concordat Council chamber, the implications caused widespread alarm. The humans hadn't just rejected their ultimatum, they had demonstrated capabilities that suggested they could resist any attempt at isolation. Worse, they had done so using technology that the Concordat's best minds couldn't fully comprehend. The humans must be stopped, declared the mechanoid representative. Their chaotic approach to technology represents a threat to the established order of galactic development. High Chancellor Vex 981 raised an appendage for silence. Perhaps we are approaching this incorrectly. The humans have shown us something we have never seen before, a species that advances not through careful, methodical progression, but through what they call innovation and thinking outside the box. The chamber fell silent as the implications sank in. The humans weren't just developing technology, they were developing it in ways that could fundamentally change how the galaxy understood scientific progress itself. As the deadline expired, both civilizations stood ready. The Concordat had to decide whether to risk conflict with a species that had demonstrated an unprecedented ability to adapt and overcome, while humanity prepared to defend its right to forge its own path among the stars. In her quarters, Admiral Harrison reviewed the final preparations. They'll either accept us as we are, she mused to herself, or they'll learn why humanity has always thrived under pressure. The first strike came without warning. The Concordat deployed what they considered an elegant solution, a network of quantum inhibitor fields designed to disable advanced technology across Earth's hemisphere. They expected humanity's cobbled-together defense systems to fail instantly. They were wrong. Lieutenant Commander Wei of the UES Defiant watched as the quantum fields washed over Earth's defense grid. The alien technology was impressive, operating on principles that humanity's scientists had barely begun to understand. But humanity had long since learned to prepare for the unknown. Initiation confirmed, Wei announced, her fingers dancing across the holographic controls. Operation Parthian shot is live. Across Earth's orbit, thousands of seemingly dormant satellites activated. These weren't the advanced defense platforms the Concordat had detected earlier, they were decoys. The real defense system was far more primitive, and far more effective. In the Concordat's command vessel, Supreme Tactician Krell 389 watched in disbelief as their quantum inhibitors failed to disable Earth's defenses. Impossible, they chittered, their crystalline form vibrating with agitation. Their technology should have been neutralized. Sir, a junior analyst interrupted, we're detecting radio waves. The humans are using modified radio technology to maintain their defense grid. The revelation sent shockwaves through the Concordat fleet. The humans hadn't just prepared for advanced quantum attacks, they had deliberately designed their systems to fall back on primitive technology that was immune to such sophisticated interference. Admiral Harrison's voice crackled across all frequencies, broadcasting in both Earth Standard and the Concordat's own communication protocols. Perhaps you're beginning to understand why containment isn't an option. We don't need to match your technology, we just need to find ways around it. The Concordat's second attack came in the form of targeted gravitational distortions, designed to tear apart Earth's orbital defenses. But again, humanity's response defied conventional logic. The defense platforms didn't try to resist the gravitational attacks, they used them, converting the energy into power for their weapons systems. They're using our own attack to power their defenses, reported Logic Unit 7219, its processors struggling to compute the efficiency of such an unorthodox approach. The humans they're treating advanced physics like a resource to be exploited rather than a science to be mastered. In the Phoenix Orbital Station, Director Patel's team worked frantically to analyze the Concordat's technology in real time. "They're still thinking linearly," he reported to Harrison. "Every attack follows established scientific principles. They're not ready for what comes next." "Initiate Project Prometheus," Harrison commanded. "Let's show them why humanity's greatest strength isn't our technology, it's our creativity." The quantum entanglement drive activated across Earth's defense fleet. The ships didn't just move, they existed in multiple points simultaneously, using principles that violated the Concordat's understanding of physics. The human vessels appeared to be everywhere and nowhere, striking from impossible angles and vanishing before they could be targeted. In the Concordat Council chamber, panic ensued. "They've achieved quantum superposition without solving the underlying theoretical frameworks," exclaimed the science director. "Their ships are utilizing principles they couldn't possibly understand." "Understanding is a luxury," Harrison's voice echoed through their chambers, somehow penetrating their most secure communications. "Humanity has always learned by doing. We build, we test, we adapt. Theory comes later." The Concordat's fleet found itself facing an enemy that refused to fight according to the established rules of warfare. Human ships used tactical warping that should have torn them apart. Their weapons combined principles from different scientific disciplines in ways that shouldn't have worked. Every attempt to predict their movements failed because they operated on intuition rather than pure logic. As the battle reached its peak, the Concordat's forces faced a stark reality: they were losing to a species that had turned their own advanced technology against them while simultaneously employing primitive solutions that bypassed their most sophisticated defenses. "Perhaps," High Chancellor Vex 981 observed, watching the battle unfold, "we have been approaching this entire situation incorrectly. The humans aren't just defending themselves, they're showing us possibilities we never considered." In Earth orbit, Admiral Harrison watched as the Concordat's fleet pulled back, their neat formations now ragged and uncertain. "Send the final message," she ordered. The transmission reached every Concordat vessel simultaneously. This was just a demonstration. "We don't want war, we want recognition. Humanity will forge its own path among the stars. You can either accept us as equals or learn firsthand why every obstacle humanity has faced has only made us stronger." The Concordat's retreat wasn't surrender, it was preparation. Their next approach demonstrated why they had dominated galactic politics for millennia. Quantum fields materialized around Earth's major population centers, designed to isolate the planet from its orbital defenses. But humanity had spent generations preparing for extinction-level threats, and isolation was just another challenge to overcome. "Initiate Protocol Hydra," Admiral Harrison commanded from the underground command center beneath the Rocky Mountains. The surface battle was a distraction, humanity's real response had been waiting for this moment. Across Earth's surface, thousands of seemingly ordinary communications towers activated simultaneously. Each had been built using a combination of reverse-engineered alien tech and human ingenuity. Together, they formed what Director Patel had dubbed the quantum battering ram. "The humans are attempting something unprecedented," Logic Unit 7219 reported to the Concordat Council. "They're using their planet's magnetic field as a carrier wave for quantum-entangled particles." The implications stunned the Concordat scientists. The humans had taken two entirely separate fields of physics and combined them in ways that violated theoretical principles. Yet somehow, it worked. Earth's magnetic field became a weapon, disrupting the Concordat's isolation fields while simultaneously strengthening human defenses. Lieutenant Commander Rodriguez coordinated the ground response from his station in Houston. "The dark net is online," he reported. "All civilian quantum systems are now operating on the backup grid." The dark net was humanity's masterpiece of improvisation, a global communications network that used principles from quantum mechanics, but ran on modified 20th-century technology. It was crude, inefficient, and by all rights shouldn't have worked. But it did, and more importantly, it was completely immune to the Concordat's attempts at technological suppression. In orbit, the battle took an unexpected turn. Human ships began employing what they called quantum spoofing, using the Concordat's own sensor technology against them. Each human vessel appeared to be in multiple locations simultaneously, not through actual quantum manipulation, but through clever exploitation of the aliens' own detection systems. "They're not using real quantum mechanics," reported a bewildered Concordat scientist. "They're just tricking our sensors into thinking they are. It's like they've turned advanced physics into a magic trick." Admiral Harrison allowed herself a small smile as reports came in. The Concordat was learning a lesson that humanity's enemies had learned throughout history: when conventional tactics failed, humans got creative. "Launch the Mosquito drones," she ordered. Thousands of tiny drones, no larger than insects, deployed from Earth's surface. They weren't advanced by Concordat standards, most of their technology dated back to the early 21st century. But they carried a payload that demonstrated humanity's talent for unconventional warfare, engineered bacteria that could eat through the Concordat's crystalline technology. Biological warfare against technology. The Concordat's War Council was aghast. "They're using primitive microorganisms to attack quantum computers." The effect was devastating. The Concordat's ships found their advanced systems being literally devoured by microscopic life forms that shouldn't have been able to interact with their technology at all. Humanity had taken one of Earth's simplest life forms and turned it into a weapon against one of the galaxy's most advanced civilizations. "Sir," an analyst reported to the High Chancellor, "the humans aren't just fighting us, they're adapting our own technology in real time. They're learning from every engagement." In the Phoenix orbital station, Director Patel's team had already reverse-engineered 3 new technologies from the ongoing battle. The Concordat's biggest mistake, he noted to Harrison, was assuming that technological superiority equals tactical superiority. They forgot that humanity's greatest weapon has always been our ability to improvise. The Concordat's fleet began a strategic withdrawal, their neat formations now chaotic as ships dealt with failing systems and impossible sensor readings. But humanity wasn't finished with their demonstration. "Show them Project Lazarus," Harrison commanded. Across Earth's surface, apparently destroyed defense systems suddenly reactivated. The humans hadn't been trying to prevent the Concordat's attacks, they had been absorbing them, learning from them, and adapting their technology in real time. "This isn't a war," High Chancellor Vex 981 realized, watching their carefully planned assault fall apart. "This is an evolution. Every attack we launch teaches them more about our technology. They're not just defending themselves, they're using this conflict to accelerate their development." The Concordat's emergency council session was interrupted by an unexpected transmission. Quantum encryption protocols that should have taken centuries to crack had been bypassed in days. Admiral Harrison's hologram appeared in their sacred chamber, a testament to humanity's rapid mastery of stolen technology. "We could continue this demonstration," she stated calmly, "but I think we both know where it leads. Your fleet has lost 20% of its advanced systems to our bacterial warfare. Your quantum isolation fields have been turned into power sources for our defense grid. And most importantly, we've learned more about your technology in the past week than we would have discovered in a decade of peaceful research." High Chancellor Vex 981 rose, their crystalline form refracting light in patterns of deep contemplation. "You orchestrated this entire conflict as a learning exercise." "Partially," Harrison admitted. "But it was also a demonstration. Humanity doesn't follow your rules of technological progression because we can't afford to. We evolved on a death world, survived countless near-extinction events, and developed our technology under constant pressure. We don't have the luxury of waiting to perfect a theory before testing it." The council chamber erupted in overlapping communications as representatives debated this unprecedented situation. The humans hadn't just survived their attempted containment, they had turned it into an opportunity for advancement. Director Patel's voice joined the transmission. We've already adapted 3 of your quantum field technologies for our own use. Not because we understand the theoretical framework, but because we figured out how to make them work. That's humanity's greatest strength, we don't need to understand something perfectly to use it effectively. Logic Unit 7219 processed this information with growing comprehension. Their chaotic approach to technological development, it's not a flaw. It's an advantage we never considered. They achieve in years what takes other species centuries because they're willing to learn through failure. More than that, Harrison added, we're willing to combine technologies in ways you'd never consider. Your quantum fields are now powering our primitive radio networks. We're using modified microwave technology to disrupt your advanced sensors. We've turned your own quantum entanglement principles against you using equipment that's barely more advanced than our first space stations. The High Chancellor raised all 4 appendages, a gesture of highest authority. The containment protocol is hereby suspended. Humanity has demonstrated not just the ability to resist guidance, but the potential to advance galactic science itself. We're not interested in dominance, Harrison assured them. We want cooperation. Humanity's chaotic approach to science, combined with your deep understanding of theoretical principles, imagine what we could achieve together. The implications rippled through the council. The humans were offering not just peace, but a partnership that could revolutionize galactic technology. Their unorthodox methods, combined with the Concordat's vast knowledge, could unlock possibilities neither civilization had imagined. There will be conditions, the High Chancellor stated. Of course, Harrison agreed. We'll retain our independence and continue developing technology our way. In return, we'll share our innovations and help you see beyond the limitations of conventional development. The agreement that followed would change the galaxy forever. Humanity gained access to the Concordat's vast scientific knowledge, while the Concordat learned to appreciate the value of human innovation. Together, they began exploring new frontiers of science that neither civilization could have reached alone. In her final log entry about the first contact crisis, Admiral Harrison wrote, the Concordat thought they were coming to contain a primitive species. Instead, they found partners who could teach them to see technology through new eyes. Sometimes the greatest advances don't come from following the rules, but from having the courage to break them in just the right way. As Earth entered a new era of galactic cooperation, humanity had proven a fundamental truth: their greatest strength wasn't their technology or their determination, but their ability to turn obstacles into opportunities. The galaxy would never be the same, and that was exactly what both civilizations needed.